We're back for our NFL Best Bets here for week number 13 of the NFL season. Obviously, we've already had the Thanksgiving games, but here we go for the rest of the week, our 5 best bets, and the Black Friday game as well with the Chicago Bears and the Philadelphia Eagles. So we still have the Sunday games and Monday Night Football to work with. And again, here are our 5 best bets for money lines and spreads. Later today at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have our best player props out for this week as well, so be on the lookout for that later today. But again, this video is just more specifically money lines and spreads. Now, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more NFL content here on the channel. Earlier this week, we posted our full predictions for week number 13, so obviously we're not going to get to all the games today, but if you want to see, I don't know, we're not going to be talking about the Saints and the Dolphins today, that will be on the full predictions video. Again, folks, if you have not yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Also on the channel, daily college basketball best bets, daily NBA best bets, and weekly college football predictions and best bets as well. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets this week for week number 13 of the NFL season. Kicking things off with, oh wait, hold on, it's perfect timing. We're taking the Cleveland Browns to cover 5.5 points against the San Francisco 49ers. I hope this holds. I'm seeing +5 now on some books. We shall see. It's because it's supposed to rain in Cleveland. It's supposed to rain at Huntington Bank Stadium or Bank Field in Cleveland, Ohio. Conditions are supposed to be crap. And obviously with the way Brock Purdy played last week in warm, Santa Clara, California, even though it wasn't too warm, but regardless, it was like 60-something degrees. How is he going to play in the 40-degree weather and the cold rain and the wind? I think we see a bad football game. You look at the over-unders for every single game this week, it is by far the lowest. The over-under for this game is 35.5 points. And it makes sense. Again, the way both offenses might operate, we might see again this weekend on Sunday, and just the all-around conditions, I think makes it very difficult for San Francisco to get away from Cleveland. I don't even know if they can win the football game. Again, win the football game, let alone get many points away from the Browns. Again, I have the utmost confidence in Shedeur Sanders right now. Again, I'm a little concerned about the play calling and Kevin Stefanski not being really willing to let Shedeur take over the offense and letting Shedeur be Shedeur Sanders. We're going to keep referencing that deep ball that he hit to Isaiah Bond in Las Vegas, but legitimately, that is just proof of what Shedeur Sanders can do for this offense and how we can expand the offense, contrary to how Dylan Gabriel is playing and his inability to throw a football more than 30 yards. Obviously, we know the impact Quinshon Judkins is going to have on this game, in a game especially again where we expect a lot of running and we expect just sloppy, ugly football. We can expect this Browns heavy run game. We're talking, of course, Quinshon Judkins. We're talking Dylan Sampson, the rookies out of Ohio State and Tennessee, respectively. We can expect both those guys to have big games. Alongside for the San Francisco 49ers, Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson obviously are going to lead that run game. I'm not too confident in the Niners run game. McCaffrey's been really good, and McCaffrey's likely on pace to have a 1,000 season. I think he's going to be on track rushing-wise. He's at 800 rushing, 785 receiving. He's going to have a 1,000 year. But there are games where McCaffrey just gets bottled up all game long. And again, McCaffrey's always a weapon because of his ability to pass catch as well, and the fact that both Brock Purdy and Mac Jones are able to get him the football on checkdowns and just designated routes for him at the same time. But there are games, again, where McCaffrey goes under 50 rushing yards or stays at 50 rushing yards, and he has his biggest impact with 80 receiving yards. And then you look at the stat line at the end of the game, all-purpose 130 for McCaffrey. But again, the Niners are going to need a heavy running attack out of McCaffrey this week. And obviously, again, he will still be involved in the pass-catching game because that's just what Christian McCaffrey does. But they will need McCaffrey on the ground, which I don't know if we can really come to, I don't know if we can bank on that. So that's why I'm taking Cleveland here. Again, we know how good the Browns defense is. It's one of the elite defenses in all of the National Football League. Obviously, Myles Garrett, probably the best defensive player in the NFL. I think that's not a controversial take at all to say. Obviously, the Browns last week in Las Vegas sacked Geno Smith 10 times. And sure, does some of that have to do with the fact Geno Smith is not a great quarterback and the Las Vegas Raiders have a pitiful offensive line? Sure. Okay, both of those things may be true, but at the same time, I don't love Brock Purdy dealing with pressure on the road, in the rain, in the cold, and this defense coming at him. The secondary for Cleveland is not that horrible either. The Browns, with the exception of a couple games this season, the Browns have been really good defensively. The games that we can think of, again, the one when they went to Baltimore early in the year was a bad defensive effort. When they played the Detroit Lions, they couldn't really get going defensively. Other than that, though, the Browns defense has been solid all year long, and obviously, again, we know how good their their pass rush is going to be. It's just dependent on the secondary. But I think the secondary is going to be good enough. And yes, a major part of this game obviously is going to be Shedeur Sanders. Sanders making a second career start, obviously, after winning his first career start in Las Vegas. I think he's put in a pretty good position here. Yeah, it's going to be a tough environment and tough, conditions for Shedeur to play in. But at the same time, Brock Purdy's got to deal with that same exact thing. The San Francisco 49ers have to deal with that exact same, conditions. And I am a big believer in the fact that, Shedeur Sanders has now an extra week to prepare. I mean, he got thrown into the starting lineup, obviously, for the Ravens game after Dylan Gabriel got injured. Had no time as the starter. Got a full week to prepare for the Raiders. He looked good. I think he's gonna look even better this week, albeit in not just rain. I'm looking at the weather forecast now. Oh no, it's snow. It will be snowing. It is going to be under 32 degrees on Sunday. Oh boy. It's probably not gonna, I think we're gonna see I'm seeing 31-ish degrees. Anywhere from 35 to 30-ish degrees. So we might see some, in between of rain and snow, obviously. It's gonna be cold. And I don't like a warm weather football team that plays in Santa Clara, California, in the Bay Area, in Northern California, to go all the way over to Cleveland and play in a 30-degree football game. Yeah, I expect a close game. I believe the Browns are actually going to win the game, but I'm going to go with +5 now, or +5.5, or whatever we can get it at. I think this is going to be more at 5, 4.5 at time, or at time of kickoff. Regardless, give me the Browns and the points this weekend to cover against the Niners. I do believe money line is somewhat playable as well. On to our second best bet of the video. By the way, we're going to have all AFC games here. I know the NFC took up actually only 3 teams on Thanksgiving, but they take up the Friday game too. So we have a lot of AFC action. I don't like a single game in terms of the NFC or pure NFC versus NFC in this video. Next up, we're taking the Indianapolis Colts to cover 3 against the Houston Texans. So a lot is being made out of the fact Daniel Jones's, leg injury, or let me get the specifics on him. Daniel Jones has what is it? Let me get the exact thing for Daniel Jones. He is injured. We've seen the practice footage. It doesn't look great. His dropbacks don't look great. It is a fractured fibula for Daniel Jones, which I believe he suffered during the Chiefs game. All those hits he took at the end of the Chiefs game in the fourth and in overtime, I believe that's where he suffered the injury. But regardless of all that, Daniel Jones has a fractured fibula, but he has insisted on continuing to play. He has told the Colts he wants to play, and he does not want to even sit out a week. Now, if I'm Indianapolis, personally, I'm probably sitting down Daniel Jones this week. You have a decent enough lead in the AFC South, where you actually have 1 game on the Jags, but still, this is not really the defense I want to push my quarterback back for. But I understand, again, the Colts, they see a chance to really bury Houston, and if Jacksonville doesn't win this week, which we'll see. Then they get another game on the Jags as well. The Jags aren't losing to the Titans, but still, I feel like, you're probably going to the playoffs regardless. Yes, there's a chance you could lose the division, but your schedule coming up is huge. If you lose Daniel Jones this week, which, forbid that happens. God forbid that happens. I don't think it will. Okay. You got Jacksonville, Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, and Houston to end the year. The Colts do have a really rough end of the year. I think they're going to be fine. But again, the potential of no Daniel Jones results in Anthony Richardson trying to lead you to the postseason. Oh, wait, AR is hurt right now. Riley Leonard trying to lead you to the postseason. Obviously, he did it last year at Notre Dame, but can he do it with a different Indiana football team? Probably not. So a lot of, this game is going to really be dependent on Daniel Jones. Again, he's going to be playing through a fractured fibula for the rest of the season. We shall see. So this line has come down from originally the start at 4.5. Now it's at 3.5. We're going to buy a half a point to get it at 3, just so we feel more comfortable here with Indianapolis at -125. And I believe this should hit. I believe this should be fine. I've said it many times this season. I think the Houston Texans are overrated. I think their defense is really good. I think what the Texans do offensively is absolutely awful. Nico Collins is great. Their run game they're trying with. They added Nick Chubb in the offseason, who's old, let's just say it. Obviously, the Joe Mixons are around somewhere. I don't know if he's playing. If he's not, I don't think he's going to play this season, even though Joe Mixon on Twitter said he was going to play eventually this year. I don't know about that. Obviously, Woody Marks, the rookie out of USC, has been absolutely massive for the Texans this season. But regardless of all that, though, Marks, Chubb, potential Joe Mixon, obviously not this week for Joe Mixon, but there's not a consistent run game for Houston. So a lot is on CJ Stroud or Davis Mills, who has been starting. It is back to Stroud this week, which I actually believe makes them worse. Just being honest. I think Stroud coming back makes them worse in Indianapolis. I think over the long term, yes, I would rather have CJ Stroud over Davis Mills. For this particular game, I'd actually rather have Mills. Mills has won 3 games in a row. Mills has been there for your team, and now you have to go back to Stroud. And obviously, right, Stroud's the franchise quarterback. Stroud's your guy. I don't love them going back to Stroud in the spot, but of course you have to. You're paying, or he is their franchise quarterback. You're not going to hold on to Davis Mills permanently, at least as a starter. So it needs to be Stroud this week. I think this offense is going to really struggle. I think they're going to really struggle here on the road. I know they've won 3 consecutive games. They had the big comeback victory against the Jaguars. Who's the quarterback? Right. They barely got by Tennessee, sure, on the road in Nashville, but who was the quarterback? They beat the Bills on Thursday night. Who played quarterback? Davis Mills went 3-0 as the starter for the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud this season is 3-5 as the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans. And I understand the games Stroud lost were all playoff teams: Rams, Buccaneers, Jaguars, Seahawks, Broncos. Who is he playing this week? Playoff team. Davis Mills did go 2-1 against playoff teams as well. The Texans, in all fairness, have had a very rough schedule and a very difficult schedule all year long. But again, Davis Mills goes 2-1 against playoff teams. CJ Stroud is 3-5 against them this season. Also, I think we need to mention it. I know, Danny Dimes or Indiana Jones is playing injured. That team is so much better at home. Just so much better at Lucas Oil. They are a dome football team. We know it. But look at the way Jonathan Taylor runs at home. Look at the way Daniel Jones plays at home. And really, games inside of a dome this season for the Indianapolis Colts, they are, let me get this right, they've lost all but one game inside of a dome. The one game that they lost against the Los Angeles Rams, where A.D. Mitchell, if he holds onto the football, the Colts win that game against the Rams on the road. They got their get back in Los Angeles just against the different LA football team. So the Colts are a really good indoor football team. Obviously, that's why it's important that they keep winning games into the postseason. Again, we shall see if they can get home field advantage or whatnot. I'm taking Indianapolis, though, to win and cover against the Texans. I do believe the Jones injury is going to suck for the squad, but I don't think it's worth, this team being only 3-point favorites. Now, instead of 4.5, I believe they're going to be perfectly fine in this spot. They're at home. Again, I like the Colts quite a bit, especially with Stroud coming back, too. Give me Indianapolis to win and cover 3 points at home against the Texans. On now to our third best bet of the video. We move to another AFC matchup, obviously, at Acrisure Stadium between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills. I am going with the Buffalo Bills to win and cover 3 points. After a more than disappointing performance last week against the Houston Texans on Thursday Night Football, I think the Bills get it back. I don't believe Buffalo's losing back-to-back here. I understand they lost back-to-back earlier in the season against the New England Patriots and against the Atlanta Falcons. They're not losing back-to-back here. I don't think so. Primarily, it's 2 things, obviously, right? It's Buffalo and my belief in Josh Allen for being, the best quarterback in the National Football League. Talent-wise, sometimes, again, it doesn't always appear to be that way, but talent-wise, yes, Josh Allen is still the best quarterback, in my opinion, in the league, and I don't think the Bills lose back-to-back. And also, look at the Steelers. Pittsburgh 6-5. Pittsburgh has been losers in 4 out their last 6 games. Victories over the Colts and Bengals, in all fairness. But last week, losing in Chicago. And like in that Texans scenario, we get a starting quarterback coming back. Now, obviously, I'd much rather have Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph. I'm not even having that conversation like I am with the Texans. Oh, do I want Stroud? Do I want Davis Mills? Obviously, you want Rodgers starting for Pittsburgh, and that's exactly what's going to be happening this week. I don't even believe he has a questionable tag anymore. It is 100% confirmed. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is active for this game, and it has been known he is active for this football game, and that's fine. I like Buffalo here to still get it done. Guys, again, I'm not going to deny the fact that, okay, obviously you want Rodgers over Mason Rudolph. It's not like Aaron Rodgers has been playing particularly elite football, though, this season. And that's the truth. He has not been playing particularly elite football, and I believe Buffalo should be able to get to him. It's a Buffalo defense that has struggled at times this year. I understand that. I don't think they're going to get completely dominated, though, by Aaron Rodgers. I don't think so. And, I look at Pittsburgh, again, losers in 4 out of their last 6 games. Can they really win this game at home against the Bills? I don't believe so. I know the Bills, this team is very, very mid, obviously, other than Josh Allen. If Josh Allen was not the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, I don't know where this team would be at. Their offensive line's not very good. Their receiving core, it lacks at times. Obviously, their run game's really good, and this has been the best season of the career of James Cook. But there's only so much, again, James Cook can do. There's only so much Josh Allen can do. And obviously that's why Buffalo finds themselves currently at 7-4 in a wild card spot and behind the New England Patriots in the AFC East. Pittsburgh's defense has been off and on all year long. They've had their nights, like the Indianapolis game. They look great. Hell, they held the Cincinnati Bengals to 12 points. Obviously, the big interception for a touchdown for Kyle Duggar off of Joe Flacco. The Steelers defense will have their nights, but at the same time, they'll have games where they give up 31 points to Chicago. And the offense will have its games, like the last game we saw with Aaron Rodgers against the Los Angeles Chargers, where they're on the road, and they can't move the football at all in that game. The Chargers pass rush is getting to Rodgers at will. There's nothing for Aaron. He's looking at, quick dump-offs. There's nothing there. Jalen Warren's been an off-and-on guy, and Warren's been a reliable, heavy volume runner for them, but it's not like Jalen Warren's having multiple 100-plus yard days. It's really just not what Pittsburgh gets out of their run game. And we've talked about it before, too, right? This is a team that, at least historically, over the last 5 seasons and beyond, honestly, going back to the Super Bowl winning team back in, 08, 09, 08, in 09, yeah, 10? No, 10, 2007. Regardless, the Steelers seem to beat the Cardinals in Tampa. I think that was 09. They've obviously always had a great defense, right? I can't say that about the Steelers right now. I know Buffalo last week struggled against Houston. If I can say anything about the Texans, though, and we talked about it earlier, their defense is really good. Now, I think Indianapolis will be able to crack the code. They're at home. They're in their dome. I think they're going to be okay. This is, Pittsburgh is not nearly the defense Houston is. And Buffalo struggled. Josh Allen struggled. Because his O-line's horrible, because it was constant pressure on Josh Allen. It was continuous sacks all game long, and he's throwing the ball to, Khalil Shakir, who's a talent, obviously, but he's got no Dalton Kincaid. Keon Coleman's really been, taken out of the rotation of receivers. Sure. It's been difficult for Josh Allen. I understand. I think they will go on the road and beat the Steelers here. Pittsburgh is a good team. I think the Bills are slightly better, and I think Josh Allen makes the Bills better. I don't love the play calling. I need to say that too. Regardless of who it is it McDermott still calling plays? I don't know. I absolutely hate the play calling that the Bills have. And we saw it in the last game on Thursday night where Josh Allen comes back to the sidelines and Trubisky's standing there on the sidelines, and Allen's like, what the hell are we doing? In terms of, the play calling's awful. They're running the ball on 3rd and 5. They get pushed back. Oh, now we're on 4th and 6. Well, it's not 4-down territory anymore. Bill's play calling's always been questionable. I didn't mind, obviously. I mean, I think the hook and ladder play was great at the end of the game to extend that game and get the Bills into plus territory. Obviously, they ended up losing it. I don't know. I'm going to be going with Buffalo, though. I think the Bills can win and cover. 3 points is not that many, obviously. We play the odds. Obviously, there's a chance that they could win by under 3 points, but it's likely that they're going to win by a field goal or more. If they win by field goal, we push. If they win by more, obviously, we win. So I'm going to be taking the Buffalo Bills to win and cover 3 points. This is listed at -115, so give me Buffalo to get it done on the road at Acrisure Stadium against the Pittsburgh Steelers. On now to our 4th best bet of the video. We continue in the AFC with the Los Angeles Chargers at home coming off of a bye week as 9.5-point favorites. I'm seeing 8.5 on some books. If you get 8.5, take it. But I think 9.5 is more than playable as well, considering their opponents. As the Las Vegas Raiders go to Southern California to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. Are the Raiders the worst team in the National Football League? Maybe. It's either them, the Titans, or the Jets. It's the triangle of suck in the National Football League. But here are those Las Vegas Raiders who are 2-9 this year. Oddly enough, again, that week 1 victory in Foxborough against the New England Patriots keeps on aging better and better for Las Vegas. And then a random victory at home against the Tennessee Titans about a month and a half ago. But it has been 5 consecutive losses for the Las Vegas Raiders since that win over Tennessee, losing to Kansas City, Jacksonville, Denver, Dallas, and Cleveland. Back-to-back home L's for the Raiders against the Cowboys, and obviously then to Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. This should be one-way domination for the Los Angeles Chargers. One team is coming off a bye week here. That's the Chargers. Los Angeles is 7-4, and they have a hell of a schedule coming up. It is a gauntlet for Los Angeles, who currently sit at 7-4, obviously need to pick up as many wins as possible down the stretch here to, obviously get into the postseason. But after that loss a couple weeks ago to the Jacksonville Jaguars over in Duval County, this schedule picks up after this week. So they, if I'm the Chargers, you need to put everything on film right now. You need to dominate the Raiders and set up for your final 5 games, which are going to be difficult. So obviously you get the Raiders this week, then you get a Monday Night Football game in Los Angeles though it's against the Philadelphia Eagles. You go to Kansas City against the Chiefs, to Dallas against the Cowboys, Texans game, Broncos game on the road. I mean, these are winnable spots, don't get me wrong. Like, I think Eagles is obviously winnable because you're at home. I think the Chiefs is winnable too. Cowboys on the road should be a manageable game, even though the Cowboys are playing better. Texans at home should be favored. Broncos on the road, going to be a competitive game, but there's a chance the Broncos have everything. There's a chance the Broncos have everything already locked up at that point in the season. Now, during the Thanksgiving game, Tony Romo, who I actually hate listening to now. Romo, when he first started back in like 2018, 2019, was pretty good on commentary. I don't know if maybe it's just because he's always doing Mahomes games and he's always doing Kansas City Chiefs games. Now he's insufferable to listen to. But Romo made a point during the that Cowboys Chiefs game on Thanksgiving that, yeah, I'm looking at the schedule, and if the Cowboys can just win today, then, and then they have their toughest matchup next week on Thursday night against the Detroit Lions, but if they win that game, they're going to be favored on every single game for the rest of their schedule. And I was like, really? So I look, and then I'm like, yeah, wait, they still have to play the Chargers in Dallas. They're going to be favored to win that game, I guess, with the Chargers' struggles on the road, which has been very detailed, and obviously their struggles away from really the West Coast. We shall see what happens in that eventual Dallas game. Obviously going to be very difficult, with what the Cowboys have with Dak and company. But I'm going to be taking the Chargers, though, in this particular spot. Again, there is no doubt in my mind that they don't blow out the Raiders. This shouldn't be a competitive game. This is a game for the Chargers coming off of a bye week to really get things going. Last game that they played against the Raiders was the second week of Monday Night Football. It was the late night game on Monday Night Football at like 7:30 in Vegas, and the Chargers dominated it. It was a defensive battle, but Chargers win 20-9. There was not much offense being played by the Las Vegas Raiders. Well, that's the case in most games. And the Chargers found their way in that one, obviously, on the road, winning it 20-9. Okay, the Raiders are worse now, and the Chargers, I do believe, are better. I understand that 35-6 loss, but again, the Chargers are just one of these teams that they just play horribly on the road. They just do, and especially on the East Coast. I know that was actually the first road game they've lost all year long. Look at the type of games they've played on the road this season, though. Titans, Dolphins, where they needed a miraculous comeback to win that football game. And then, they lost the Giants, too, on the road. Exactly, it's one of the Giants' 2 wins currently. Yeah. The Chargers aren't a good road team. They get this game at home, though, against the Raiders, and I don't think it's that competitive. Again, we know what Justin Herbert can do. And obviously, Justin Herbert is kind of in that Josh Allen boat of, obviously elite talent at quarterback, one of the best in the league, but there's not much help around him. O-line, obviously, right now is banged up with the Joe Alt injury for the season, and your receiving core is off and on, obviously, with Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, and Quentin Johnston. The Chargers do get Amarian Hampton back. Now, it has been said that Hampton and Kamani Vidal are probably splitting time at running back now, which makes sense. I mean, you kind of want to ease Hampton back into it, but Vidal's been all right. Obviously, Hampton is your guy there. We shall see what happens in that run game for the Chargers. As for the Raiders, again, this is why, yes, the Chargers, again, should dominate. They should win by 9.5 points, and I think they're good. They should win by 10 points. However, Vegas sucks. The Raiders are atrocious. They lost by 14 points on their own home field against the Cleveland Browns, and again, I've spoken at length about how good the Browns defense is, and that 100% stands for this claim, but you got to go on the road and take on a pretty good defense too. And the Chargers defense, I would not say is better than the Browns. It's still a very productive defense and very solid defense. The Raiders have struggled to score all year long. 10 points against the Browns, 16 points against the Cowboys, and that's a bad defense. 7 points against the Denver Broncos, 0 points against the Chiefs, 6 points against the Colts, 9 points against the Chargers already this year. Come on now. They're not scoring. Again, is it all Geno's fault? No, but Geno said to blame him, so we will blame Geno. But it's Geno's fault. But beyond that, their offensive line sucks. Ashton Genty's been pretty much a non-factor all year long. He'll make big plays. That'll make you say, oh, whoa, that's why he was so great at Boise last year. That's why he was a Heisman candidate. Maybe should have won it, but whatever. I had no problem with Travis Hunter winning the award. But, he'll make plays that make you go, oh, my goodness, that's Ashton Genty. And then you look at his stats, man. I mean, he's averaging 3 yards a carry this season. 4 touchdowns, 600 yards. Brock Bowers, same thing. Bowers is great. He'll have his moments, and obviously he'll have his moments more than obviously Genty does because that's Geno's guy. Geno force feeds him. But it's not like, again, we can just rely on, this Raiders offense. They're probably not going to score more than 10 points. We know the Chargers are probably going to get into the high 20s, potentially in the 30s here. This is automatic to me. Los Angeles Chargers will win and cover the 9.5 points at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, the Chargers are disappointing sometimes, and they played down to their opponents. That's only on the road, though, so I don't think it's going to happen here. Chargers dominate before they get into that treacherous stretch of their schedule down the stretch of the year. Anyways, on to our final best bet, and on to Sunday Night Football, we go to Washington, D.C., or Landover, Maryland, more specifically, for the Denver Broncos and the Washington Commanders. So this is another game that we do need to talk about the weather, so I'm going to do a weather report here. But similar to that game played in Cleveland between the Browns and the 49ers, there are going to be some weather conditions in this game with the Denver Broncos and the Washington Commanders, which makes me change up my approach, at least on how I believe the game is going to play out compared to how I did earlier in the week. So initially I thought, okay, Broncos should be able to really get this pass game going. They should really be able to develop what they want to do going down, obviously the final stretch of the year and into the postseason, because their defense is great, one of the best in football, but the offense obviously leaves some to be desired. Bo Nix sometimes, I think Bo Nix is a tremendous game manager, obviously, but if you want Bo Nix to take that next step and want him to be an elite quarterback in the league, you need him and a guy who can carry you into the postseason or in the postseason itself and win you big moments. You need him to have a, momentum boosting game like he can potentially have against a bad defense in the Washington Commanders. And obviously, right, Nix last week or 2 weeks ago against the Kansas City Chiefs, in Denver, came up with a huge drive at the end of the football game to win it, and that's a clutch gene that you can't teach. So that was absolutely massive and big time for the Denver Broncos, and I'm not saying Bo Nix is a bad quarterback at all. I like Bo Nix quite a bit. But this is the type of game that I thought, okay, Courtland Sutton's going to have a big day. Obviously, Troy Franklin's been huge, but it's just going to be a game where Bo Nix can, work the football around the field and just keep moving it all day long against Washington. Unfortunately for the Broncos, and Sean Payton's already said it too, there's an interview that came out with Courtland Sutton that Sutton said that, the Broncos are preparing for bad weather this week. Sean Payton has already told the team, expect bad weather, and if we get a bad weather football game, we're going to keep the ball on the ground, and we're going to outwill them defensively. So by the time of kickoff, it's going to be 38 degrees and raining in D.C., or Landover, Maryland specifically, on Sunday night. Oh, so there goes my whole, Bo Nix is going to have a monster day. Courtland Sutton, need him in fantasy this week. Nope, but probably not, okay? Expect a lot of R.J. Harvey in the run game this week for the Broncos. Obviously, yes, they will look to Nix at points, and Nix has played in somewhat rainy conditions before, obviously playing in the Pacific Northwest up in Eugene, Oregon for his senior year. This is a little bit different of a situation, though, right? Playing in Washington in this type of cold. It gets cold in Oregon, and it rains in Oregon, but it's going to be even colder, I believe, this weekend in D.C. Expect a lot of R.J. Harvey. Obviously, J.K. Dobbins still out on the injured reserve. Expect, obviously, some Jaleel McLaughlin as well, who's the backup running back. I don't know what to expect out of the pass game, but what I can, kind of confirm to you is that the Commanders are going to struggle to move the football all game long. Now, there were question marks about Jaden Daniels. Will he play? Will he not play this week? It seems to be Jaden Daniels likely won't. He's questionable. If he does, great. And we get more points for the Broncos, this line's going to come down if Jaden Daniels plays. I don't expect him to play. And I'll say this now. I'm recording this video on late Thursday night on Thanksgiving. I just got to get ahead with some videos. So if Daniels is playing, I don't really care. I'd still be on the Broncos. If he's not playing, even better, right? Again, by the time this video is released on noon on Saturday or whatever you're watching this video, I'd assume it will be known if Jaden Daniels is or is not playing. But if it's not still, again, I think we hold the line on Denver regardless. If it's Mariota, great. I don't think the Commanders are going to score. I don't really trust Mariota's ability in the rain. Again, 2 Oregon quarterbacks, by the way, Bo Nix and Marcus Mariota. But I don't expect, Mariota to be able to move the ball against this defense, the best defense in the National Football League, or at least one of the best defenses in the National Football League. If it's Jaden Daniels, yeah, the Commanders' offense is going to be better. Also, they get Terry McLaurin back this week in limited spots, they're saying. Not a full participant in the game, obviously, but he's going to be on a snap count, will Terry. But obviously, right, you're going to get McLaurin back and potentially Jaden Daniels. If it's Daniels, okay. I still think we're fine. I think the Commanders have much bigger issues than their quarterback position. Obviously, Daniels is a help. Obviously, he's an upgrade, no doubt about it, compared to Mariota. But it's their defense, which is so horrible. How are they going to find a stop? I understand Denver's offense isn't the best, but I've seen the Commanders' defense get destroyed all year long, and even just the run game out of Denver, I think, is going to really hurt them. And when Bo Nix does, go play action, when Bo Nix eventually drops back, I still think he's got enough time in the pocket and good enough weapons to get open and find separation so he can move the ball downfield. Again, I've said it. I don't think the Commanders should play Jayden Daniels. And this is not because I'm on Denver this week and I've been on Denver all year long. No. Why would you rush Jayden Daniels back if there's any doubt? This is why I don't think he's playing. And again, this might be, obviously, this might not matter by the time this video's up, but I do need to say it just in case he's still questionable come Saturday morning. There's no reason to bring him back so quickly after such a gruesome injury, which again, the injury looked horrible. It wasn't actually as bad as it looked, though. Daniels obviously is going to play this season. It's just a matter of if it's this week or it is next week for the Commanders. But why rush your franchise quarterback back, who is 24 years old, in a lost season? Much better spot for him is next week, controlled environment in Minnesota against a Vikings team whose season is also over. And yeah, then you go to New York, play the Giants, and then you get the Eagles twice to end the year. But regardless, one of those games, the Eagles probably going to be sitting their starters in Week 18. It's not that difficult of a schedule for Daniels post this Broncos game. But I hate bringing back your franchise guy against such an elite defense. And that was my case too with Daniel Jones. A little bit different in that case, obviously, because we were on Indianapolis, and I was like, well, if Jones is going to play, I'm still going to take the Colts. If it was Riley Leonard, I'd obviously stay away, but if Jones is going to give it a go, all right, there's a chance of injury. Yeah, it sucks, and it's against a good defense, but if Indiana Jones is going out there, I'm taking them. With Daniels, I don't like it because, again, it's not like, Daniel Jones has been great with the Colts offense all year long. It's not like the Commanders offense has been good at all this season. And it's not Jayden Daniels' fault. It's just they don't have a run game. They're trying, Bill Krosky-Merritt, Chris Rodriguez, Eckler's out for the year. Debo and Terry McLaurin have both been injured. Their entire receiving core has been hurt the entire year. It's just nothing's really working. Why rush your franchise guy into such a bad spot, which is this Sunday on primetime where everybody's watching against the best defense in the National Football League? Oh, by the way, the Denver Broncos are 9-2. Yeah, I hate it for Washington, and especially in the rain. I'm going to take the Broncos. It favors a defensive style of game more for them, and their run game too. Washington can't run the ball. This really just favors Denver. I'm going to go Broncos spread in this game, -5.5 for the Broncos on the road in Landover, Maryland. Folks, thank y'all for watching our 5 best bets for week number 13 of the NFL season. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back later today for our 5 best player props, and obviously next week for our NFL predictions, plus the best bets and player props again on Saturday. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more, and Mamba forever.